How to make tricky conversations with your partner more safe and more compassionate. These are the 4 steps of nonviolent communication by Marshall Rosenberg that are going to give you a toolkit to help in these dynamics with your partner. So the 4 steps are: I observe, I feel, I need, and I request. Let me take you through them. The first one, I observe, is a completely factual description of what happened. It is objective, not subjective. There is no interpretation, there is no opinion, there is no judgment, there is no personal experience. That comes in the later steps. The first one is completely objective. So it could be something like, I noticed I started to talk about the holiday plans, but you changed the subject. Or I noticed I was talking to you, but instead of listening to me, you are looking at your phone. Or I noticed that we had friends visiting, and when we all went to bed, I was the only one in the kitchen doing the dishes, tidying everything up. Or I noticed that this is the second time that you told me you would ask me out for dinner, and you haven't yet done so. So they are objective statements, and the other person, ideally, of course, we can't influence their responses, but should not feel immediately overly defensive because it's a factual description. It's the facts. It's actually true. This is what happened. So it's a factual observation. Then in the second part, we talk about how that made us feel. So this is the space where all your emotions can be expressed. And there is no you in this part of the model. So in the first one, you can say you weren't there, you didn't help with the dishes, or you didn't come back about the holiday destination while I emailed you 3 examples and asked you to have a look at it. Like it is there are yous in there. So we're talking about the other person. But in the feel component, where we talk about the emotions, our own subjective experience, there is no you. So this is a very good way to check your communication. Am I saying you or am I saying I? So the sentences start with I feel. I feel sad. I feel lonely. I feel annoyed. I feel hurt. I feel jealous. I feel anxious. I feel frustrated. I feel guilty. Gosh, I feel withdrawn. I feel numb. I feel exposed. I feel tired. I feel sensitive. A whole range of different emotions that we can experience. Try to avoid saying, I feel like, because then we're going to do a bit of a description that might get us into our head. Or I feel that, and then we go also in thought patterns instead of feelings. This takes practice. And there's another post on my website where I talk about expanding our emotional vocabulary. So this is the I feel. Complete permission to talk about your experience here, what it was like for you. And then the third part is about I need. Now, this one I always find so interesting. The second part is hard. The third part is also challenging because what we usually end up doing is we tell the other person what is wrong, what they do that we don't want, what they should stop doing, how they need fixing. We're telling them what is wrong with them. We very rarely actually tell them what it is that we need. When 2 people argue, 2 people have unmet needs. And needs is almost like a dirty word, I can't be needy. That's like selfish, or I can't like demand something, or I should be this independent person who's like self-reliant and not need my partner for anything. We've gotten so confused about that having needs is somehow wrong. But if you're in a relationship, with another human being, you have emotional needs. Also, here is another blog post that I have written completely about this subject if you want to learn more. What are my needs? To be valued, to feel safe, to be respected, to be treated with kindness, to be listened to when you're talking. These are all very human needs that you have and your partner also has. So in the moment that you feel triggered and annoyed, or you want to withdraw, or you want to argue, it's like, oh, what is my unmet need here? Which value is being trespassed? Which boundary is not respected? What is important to me? What matters to me? And that is what we express in the I need. So I need, if we party together with friends, that we tidy up together as friends. I need a clean house that makes my mind feel at peace. It makes me wake up in the morning, not feel an instant sense of overwhelm. I like the house to be tidy. So, me doing the dishes at night has to do with that. I need to be able to feel that I can trust you, that I say, can you please look at this? And that you come back to me saying, I've looked at it. Or if you're busy or overwhelmed, fair enough, that you would say something like, can I have a few more days? I know that this matters to you, but I haven't had space yet. So I need to be able to trust that you come back to me. So these are the I needs. And I can tell I already gave a few examples of I request. So that's the fourth step. I request. It's an invitation to the other person for a specific behavior. So would you please help me do the dishes before you go to bed? Or if that's not okay for you, if you're so tired and you want to sleep, could you put the alarm just a little bit earlier so you do it before you go to work, that I am not stuck with them in my day and then end up doing them myself? So could you please help me with the dishes? And in what way does that work for you? Could you please reply to my messages? Could you please put your phone away when I'm talking to you? Could you please make me feel welcome when I arrive home? Could you give me a kiss or say hi or ask me how was my day? So a very specific behavioral request. The more specific, the better. And do ask yourself if it's a reasonable request. We can have the tendency to test our partner. It's almost like we have a little exam going on for them, and then we check if they are passing it or not. So the exam is not really fair, and the request needs to be reasonable. They need to be capable of doing so. So that is the cycle. I observe, I feel, I need, and I request. And then remind yourself that the request is exactly that, a request. It is not an obligation. It is never the case that they are obliged, that it is mandatory to do what you're asking. But in this way, you have opened a dialogue. You've been vulnerable. You've exposed something of yourself about how you feel. You've expressed what matters to you. And you've asked for a way that connection might look like to you. And then they can come back to you and say, that way it doesn't work for me, but I've heard your request. These are my needs. So how can we find a place somewhere where we can have a solution that really works for the both of us? Enjoy practicing. Please let me know how you're getting on. I can't wait to hear from you. And may it bring so much more safety and harmony to the conversations with your partner, that there is a lot more laughter and a lot more joy and a lot more juiciness. I wish you all of that and more. And please let me know how you're getting on.